I work for a major travel agency, and I'm 28 years old. My name is James. My wife, Lisa, is the same age as me. We met during our student years, started dating, and got married after we began our careers. Even after marriage, we decided to continue working until we had children, so Lisa kept her job at the bank where she worked before we got married. After finishing my usual customer service tasks, I was doing some paperwork when a new customer walked in. Instinctively, I greeted them and headed towards the entrance, only to find Lisa, who was supposed to be at work, and a man I didn't recognize standing beside her. The two of them were cozily nestled together, like a couple. Come on, this can't be happening. I had always believed that infidelity was something that would never touch my family. But that belief was my mistake. We had been married for 3 years. We had been trying for a baby since right after we got married, but had not been successful. Work got busy, I got a promotion, and our time together dwindled. I would often come home late, help out at other stores, or work on weekend, and our opportunities for quality time together became rare. I started to fall asleep from exhaustion more often, and naturally, trying for a baby became a lower priority. Lisa had always talked about wanting children, and I felt guilty about it. So, I decided to have a serious conversation with her after dinner. Hey, there's something I want to talk about. It's about having kids. What's up? You've always said you wanted kids, but I've been so busy lately. I want to be more supportive, but with the promotion and the busy season coming up. I see, it can't be helped. You're doing great at work. Yeah, sorry about that. It's okay, it's not your fault. I had gathered my courage to discuss this, but that was the end of the conversation for Lisa. I was happy that she seemed to understand my busy schedule, but in hindsight, her response was too casual for someone who had always wanted children. I should have realized something was off then. Lisa had always been meticulous about her appearance because of her job at the bank, but even I, who couldn't tell the difference between makeup trends, noticed that her style, hair, and overall vibe had changed. She seemed to have become more polished and attractive. I once commented, "You've been dressing up a lot lately, what's up?" "Is that bad? A beautiful wife makes you happier, right?" she replied. Honestly, Lisa was beautiful, and thinking of her as my wife made me even happier. I convinced myself that she was doing all this for me and fell for her even more. But now, I realized that her sudden change was too drastic. After the peak season, when the foot traffic at the agency settled down, I managed to leave work a bit earlier than usual. Lisa usually finished work before me and rarely worked overtime, so she was typically home before me. However, one day, I came home to find the lights off. Lisa wasn't home yet. I thought it was unusual but didn't think much of it. However, this started happening more frequently, and Lisa's return time got later and later. When I texted her, she often took a while to reply. "Worried?" I asked. "You've been coming home late recently. Did something change at work?" She sighed and said, "Well, it's not exactly a transfer, but my workload has increased. I've been doing nothing but overtime lately. It's getting to me." I knew I wouldn't understand the details of her work, and there might be things she couldn't share. I had been neglecting our efforts to conceive, and since I usually came home later, Lisa had been taking care of most of the household chores and meals. I wondered if I had been putting too much strain on her. Thinking it was time for me to support her, I made up my mind. For my beloved wife. "It's tough, huh? I'll do what I can, so let's work through this together." "Really? It's been hard lately, so that would be a big help. Thank you." From that day, I took on more household responsibilities and started cooking dinner whenever I got home early. I learned from the internet and cut books. and although cooking for someone else was new and challenging for me, I found it enjoyable. It felt like a way to make up for neglecting our efforts to conceive and to give back to Lisa. I even managed to become more efficient with our grocery shopping, though I wouldn't say I reached the level of being frugal. Around this time, our schedules aligned even less, and our intimate life became almost non-existent. Lisa started going out more on weekends, often not returning until late, with various excuses. Gradually, I found myself taking on more of the household duties, including cooking, cleaning, and laundry. But seeing Lisa heading out to gatherings, saying I wanted to get promoted and needed to network, I couldn't bring myself to say anything, considering I had also burdened her with my own ambitions for promotion. Not being familiar with the banking industry, I assumed such networking was crucial, and given her superior performance, I thought it best to let her do as she pleased. A while later, when I ran into one of Lisa's colleagues at the supermarket after work, the conversation took an unexpected turn. Although we weren't close, I knew the colleague from previous outings with Lisa. "Ah, good evening. You're Lisa's husband, right?" "Good evening. Yes, I am. Long time no see. I'm glad I didn't mistake you for someone else." As we made small talk, her colleague mentioned something that caught me off guard. "It's really nice that both of you are into cooking." "Pardon?" I asked, surprised. The colleague looked puzzled. "Lisa has been really into cooking lately. It's amazing how she's beautiful, good at her job, and even cooks special dishes for her husband. She even left work on time today to cook." "Today as well?" "Yes, isn't it? Are you out getting some missing ingredients?" he asked with a smile. I was momentarily speechless, confused by the mismatch between what was being said and what I knew. My basket was full of groceries, making it hard to come up with an excuse. "Today, I'm cooking one dish, and, I'm also stocking up for when I cook next. Haha," I managed to say. Still puzzled, I hurried home, half expecting Lisa to be there. But she didn't return until late, as usual. "Sorry for being late again. I had something at the convenience store, so I'll eat what you made tomorrow," she said, putting the side dishes I had left out into the fridge. The fridge was mostly stocked with groceries I had bought. I hadn't seen Lisa cooking for a while now. This is when I began to suspect infidelity. Though I started to doubt Lisa, I wasn't sure what to do at first. Wanting concrete evidence, I eventually decided to hire a detective to investigate her for possible infidelity, setting the investigation period for 1 month. Unable to take time off work and with our dates becoming a rarity, I spared no expense, hoping for a clear resolution. While I had a detective working on the case outside, I decided to do some investigating of my own at home, albeit with a sense of guilt. I wondered what I'd do if I found photos or something incriminating, but no new discoveries came to light. I searched in places where things might be hidden, even reaching into the back of the dresser, but found nothing. Maybe it's just my misunderstanding, and she's really just busy with work. While meticulously searching everywhere, I found something unfamiliar at the bottom of the bedroom trash can. It was a strip of pills. I didn't recognize the shape of the strip, but upon searching the name of the medication written on it, I discovered it was a contraceptive pill. While not definitive proof of infidelity, it was puzzling why she would use such a thing when we were trying to have a child. It seemed unlikely that a guest would dispose of contraceptive pills in our bedroom trash can. It had to be hers. Though our intimate moments were rare, they existed, partly in hopes of conceiving. Finding the pills, I was almost certain of her betrayal. A month later, I visited the detective agency in person to receive the investigation report, preferring this to potentially risky postal delivery. The findings confirmed my suspicions, The investigator provided a detailed chronological explanation. I had decided on the scope of the investigation myself, but I was somewhat carried away by the suspicion of infidelity, so I was surprised at how thoroughly they had conducted the investigation. It seemed the other party was a senior colleague from her workplace, but I was astounded by how they hadn't noticed being followed, having their conversations recorded, and being clearly photographed. It's unfortunate, but I found it ironic when told this. On the night she didn't return until late, she was either dining with this man or visiting his place. Well, it was mostly hotels, actually. At this point, I couldn't help but laugh. I also felt a self-loathing for not having noticed it all along. But given the circumstances, I couldn't stay with her anymore, nor did I want to. I decided to hire a competent lawyer and start preparing for a divorce. Fitting this in between work without arousing suspicion was challenging, but having solid evidence sped up the preparation process more than I expected. Then came the fateful day. Lisa mentioned she'd be leaving home earlier than usual. "I'm going on a business trip to a branch a bit far away," she said, without me asking. I smiled and wished her a safe trip. That day, I was also heading to a different branch in the same area, but since Lisa skipped breakfast and left early, our departure times didn't coincide. And then, during work on that day, Lisa appeared at my workplace with a man from the detective's photos. Come on, you've got to be kidding. It wasn't the shock of encountering the affair that made me think this. It was the sheer audacity of them showing up at a branch where I might be working. Maybe we should go abroad. I'd love to relax at a resort hotel. Really? Then, let's do that. Their sickly sweet voices were unbearable. I intervened with a smile. Have you decided on your travel destination? We can tailor a plan to suit your needs. What? Lisa froze. She stared at me, her face growing increasingly rigid. I guess she only knew about the branch I initially worked at and hadn't kept up with my occasional shifts to other branches. Choosing this branch, of all places, showed a lack of thought. Thank you. My girlfriend and I were just discussing going overseas. Is that so? I'm sure you'll have a wonderful trip. Please, have a seat here. As I offered a seat at the counter, the man sat down without any suspicion, seemingly unaware of Lisa's delayed reaction. Thank you for considering our agency. My name is James. Could you tell me about your preferred destinations and budget? Well, we don't want to go too far because of work, but we're thinking of a resort destination, right? Is there something wrong? No, just whatever he said. Lisa's behavior was clearly off, but she tried her best to sound composed, choosing to play along. How about Hawaii? The plan would depend on what you're looking for. For example, I maintained a professional demeanor. The man was quite enthusiastic, discussing flights, hotel classes, and locations. Given their age group, their requests were quite lavish, and I meticulously tailored and aligned a plan to their needs, while carefully avoiding letting Lisa speak too much, focusing more on the man's opinions. Lisa seemed intimidated by my unwavering demeanor. Maintaining a facade of planning a lovely trip for a couple, the plan quickly came together, leading to an agreement. At the perfect moment, I delivered the punchline with a smile. So, all we need now is the contract. Thank you. Enjoy your wonderful affair trip. What? An affair trip, right, Lisa? How can you say it's an affair to a customer? Because I'm Lisa's husband. You could just ask her, couldn't you? Lisa turned a remarkable shade of pale. While Lisa seemed confused, the man next to her was even more clueless, floundering with saying, what? The fault lies with them, after all. Before the shock wore off, I leaned in close to the trembling Lisa and whispered, "We're getting a divorce." Draining even more color from her already pallid face, Lisa could only look at me, utterly terrified. Then, I promptly assured the bewildered pair out of the store, saying, "Please leave now." It was truly refreshing. Although my colleagues were initially puzzled, they believed my story thanks to the trust I had built up through my work, and after some sympathy, I was allowed to head home early. So, I decided to contact my lawyer and wait for Lisa's return at home. As I enjoyed a relaxed dinner at home, I heard arguing outside, followed by the doorbell. Opening the door, I found Lisa, disheveled and tear-streaked, apologizing profusely with the other man. "I'm so sorry. What we did was unforgivable." "Stop it. Just stop. It's you who needs to stop. Apologizing is the least you can do." They started arguing again at the doorstep. To avoid causing a scene, I let them in and heard them out in the living room. It seemed the man was misled by Lisa, who had apparently told him she had broken up with me because I was a man with nothing to gain except money. "Regardless, the fact remains that we had an affair. Please allow me to compensate you," the man said. Ignoring him, Lisa, half in a huff, muttered, "If you hadn't said anything, there'd be no proof. It could have been dismissed as a misunderstanding." "Hold on." I interjected and brought out copies of the evidence photos I had planned to confront her with, placing several of them in front of her. Pictures of them kissing passionately, entering and leaving hotels, embracing each other, all unmistakably incriminating. Lisa, turning as pale as she had in the afternoon, screamed and covered the photos with her body. "Why? I don't want this. No." The man kept repeating, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I knew about this long before you showed up today. I was prepared. I'm not as naive as to casually visit the branch where your husband works," I told her. Lisa then fell silent, her face flushed with embarrassment. I might have been harsh, but I wanted to speak my mind. As I said earlier, we're getting a divorce. It's already decided. Hearing this, Lisa burst into tears. I had never seen her so emotional, and I felt nothing but disdain for someone who cries and screams over being caught in wrongdoing. Afterward, I sent Lisa away with only the essentials and switched to communicating through the lawyer. The divorce was finalized swiftly. Lisa seemed to have planned to be with the man, but he, being decent despite the affair, rejected her. She even ludicrously inquired through the lawyer, "If we don't get divorced, do I not have to pay alimony?" The lawyer explained to her that wasn't the case. And she seemed to understand, not being particularly unintelligent. I decided to believe the man's word since he appeared sincere. And so the divorce proceedings were complete. Regarding what happened next, Lisa apparently lost her job due to the scandal, as trust is crucial in her field. She hadn't confided in her parents, who were proud of her banking career, and was now deceiving them. I hadn't shared the details with my former in-laws. I felt bad for them, but have grown so averse to anything related to Lisa that I glossed over the truth. I slightly pity any man who might get entangled with her in the future, especially since rumors suggest she's now in debt from her lavish spending on fashion, dining, and travel. I've made sure our mutual acquaintances are aware, reducing her potential support network. I haven't found a new relationship yet, but thanks to Lisa's neglect of household duties, I've become quite adept at managing chores and am enjoying my single life. I'm even considering a solo trip. I'm now living a contented and happy life without any hardships.